species value in the nature system. Your name be told. Puerto Rico. There's a Joey Quest and Sammy Vega recorded and confessed involved with interbranch corruption with kids, child sex offenders with medical corruption, overt internation criminal enterprises, also with other nations' police through time since they were kids. And CCSU is completely recorded and confessed with criminal acts and natures and roles with exploitations of exploited kids with the north end of Hartford. But now, see, where we need to understand natures of wealth and natures of job in relationship to the function of the narrative as a value as fact treatment nature, as legalized criminal insidious in nature, and how it was criminally legalized as criminal insidious nature as modern nations, and how they were our force share juxtaposed like with the trade agreements through the trade center. That's what that was attached to our homeland recorded intercampus CCSU rules also. That's why I'm bringing this up. It's not against just it's inter-industry crimes. It's nothing personal against boxing. I'm talking about recorded acts. See, but when they try to make opinions that it makes it personal, that makes me have to make demonstrations of people's actually recorded natures. Because, for example, Manchester PAL has a Roland Roy I never had a conversation with. He has a daughter, reported that really his daughter, that is recorded and confessed, demonstrated, involved criminally. I don't know if she's pretended I had a conversation. I was only just polite to her, said hello. They demonstrated that in conjunction with what, what's his name? Sammy Vega, recorded and confessed, involved with interbranch crime roles and with their police on and off campus with database crimes, with mandate crimes, all kinds of other federal crimes when they deny it with Ray Hernandez and with other people in his class that he begged me multiple times to take. That was also set up with recorded and confessed tied to crime acts and actors in cases that were used for crimes and crimes and further other cases. And then they had people directed to go against judges' orders so they could leave illusions because they're hiding things from presidents with areas maintained, because this is also tied to CCSU, Trinity College recorded connected crimes that were used to facilitate a child sex predator not being allowed reported. One that was just in the news the other day sentenced, the principal of a school, also recorded and confessed tied to the crime acts and roles and nature of Sammy Vega and people tied to him with a KKK themed, Confederate flag themed crimes. I'm not saying they are. I'm saying that that's their theme of with their crimes online, recorded also interbranch connected to case crimes, used to hide child sex predators, used to hurt their family members, slander them, including with actors with the court, directed fake both sides of the news, and then so they could keep using allegations against people like me that they know are made up, because they also attach me to fake relationships to other people I don't even know the names of since I was a kid. I can't file the records. I already have those records. But it's recorded. I had to write a complaint against Judge Smith when I was a kid like that, tied to the sex offender groups, with the act still actively every year since, with every campus I went to, tied to the same people, now connected to the proven and further sex offenders with the leadership of Weathersfield schools. Again, connected intercity into the campuses. Also UConn, I didn't even go to UConn. Middlesex Community College, involved with policing, with Eric Jensen, recorded and confessed, criminally involved. Joe DeMoro, Mike Roberts. They also had him something that made it sound like there was going to be like something where you're a young kid, you want to go meet girls or something. They invited me to some place to make it look like I had a relationship to them growing up when they were in high school that wasn't there. They put Eric Jensen in my classroom, and they put Eric Calvary in my classroom. I hardly ever had anything to do with them, and I never tried to contact them. They used to see, except for Eric Jensen, he was part of my. He's part of my thing. I did a health class project at him, and Fred Guzet recorded, confessed, involved. What turned out to be, was still not letting me report it because they keep stacking databases because he had crimes with the police chief's family, with his daughter and with her, who he married, and that guy's extended family, like a Mazzucato, Di Pasquale, also recorded and confessed, involved evidence crimes against me where they cover up their live progressions by spreading rumors, interbranch families, and with nasty people tied to the proven child sex offender roles and acts that hid it and hid more, recorded and confessed, tied to schools, tied weaving behind how they have Puerto Rican, Russian, Ukrainian, Italian, Irish, I'm Italian French. I'm Irish French, What else do they have? I'm not a police force. I'm not with them. I'm not military. Military police also recorded and confessed involved with the KKK theme, Puerto Rican flag, Confederate flag theme, categorically arranged, pretended to they know me, with complete strangers and every exception to that, recorded, criminally exploited. Also, more than one person with the name Joey Quest, recorded and involved with people on all sides of the high school with exploitations of girls, with drugs, and with doctors, and with police forms with this growing up. Joey Quest says he's involved with the exploitations of a girl that Chris Walters and a Mike Roberts, Mike Pandoff also confessed and recorded involved with on-off campuses database crimes with them, evidence crimes roles in cases tied to their roles with drugs and with spreading rumors and acted to pretend they are where they're not. In other words, to be cool in relationship, per the retired detectives and the ones recorded standing, still tied further to the recorded sex crimes with the kids, with the child campuses, with the person with the KKK crime on Facebook theme, recorded tied to Sammy Vega, also recorded. I don't remember who confessed that, but also confessed by other means, tied to crimes with on-off campus, with the street, with the policing, because they're stacking. They're telling people to call in complaints against other people to offensively prevent themselves from being caught using each campus for live progression cover-ups from what they were built as, criminally foreign influenced branches. The same way they had motivations to roles with slavery, blaming on others. That was engineered. That was black and white agencies, Asian agencies together to make a world blaming the causes of negative value nature progressions per the criminally re-engineered campus martias, blaming the causes of that on other that's trained to, from space nature, then intercampus, then interbranch industry already from a tactically denatured relationship to nature too. It means through their value nature system. That maintained juxtaposed with overt nations, criminal enterprises, and the progression as nations as war, as positions as pseudo-sophistication, only capable of discerning that themselves and others in relationship to contrast that they need as fact-shaping natures to justify look in comparison, as the slavery laws for zoning laws in the home structure before there were cars forced be the pathology that would be. And that was never our charge, because our American history is recorded criminally foreign influence, hid, worse than obfuscated. Knowledge of the most facts are being used to hide discorrelation per the original most important ones tied to the database of organized crime already entrenched. Roles in natures needing to hide roles with that, need to hide lie progression cover-ups. Can't, with the Constitution abridged still per entrenched before our founders' birth into nation, criminal justice rackets, war rackets, interbranch rackets, interscience rackets, all areas maintained to maintain database relationships with reactions, lie progression, cover-up natures, needs. So Sammy Vega is honestly a victim predator. He never had a chance per how this is leveraged upon the north end of Hartford and upon his roles with its conjunction to the south end of Hartford. And how. And his roles with fake news and media police, also recorded and confessed involved with Wethersfield crime rose through time before I met him, tied to him. Now, with the rest of the child sex offenders tied to the Wethersfield schools. And with doctors, see, we have doctors, investigators, and judges. They have a recorded and conscious crime method of making mistakes with evidence is real fast, forcing real fast time treatments and crimes and stacking it after they're already recorded with areas crime, illusion stacking, witness fabrication, name switching into branch, so they could slander people with their mouths, with areas, and in cases. It's saying things that are other than they're putting in databases. Then they could just make mistakes on purpose perpetually, because we have our nations, our modern nations agencies, each one recorded criminally foreign influenced to spot. Can't defend the fact treatment nature of their identity of position, and also at the same time, not by accident, because all is abridged. It means sub rosa. We have problems there, bottom up and top down. So they're preventing police reports tied to the principal who was just sentenced the other day for the upskirts. The police with the store that arrested him, though, are also recorded and confessed involved with the crime rackets, with the criminal justice people internation, with the rest in the child sex predator acts recorded before that. They hid that guy's roles with stuff first, and with interbranch recorded and confessed online rape threats associated with the kids and the family members and different people. So they play stupid word games while they're preventing federal crime acts from being reported, because they already recorded lies into databases. Not even, and just with investigators, interbranch, just stacking illusions in databases too. This is also recorded and confessed tied to people with federal crimes and recorded relationships to federal criminals who were co-defendants of former director of the FBI and had crime acts and roles with their family members and with those people themselves growing up. In other words, just to put illusions in his database for fact treatment tricks. Now, for example, used to prevent recorded sex offender acts forced sustained on kids, the youngest age, and through their family members, because that's going to have a reaction. Then they talk about behavior, and they're recorded consciously knowing that they're starting fights by forcing sustained fake integrity, police that have no value, judges that have no value and know it, because it's recorded, and they just keep writing other and preventing people have voice. They direct interbranch recorded, confessed, directing with some of the people and as child predators with those roles, pretended directing fake both sides of news, pretend they had a conversation with me about the story, which was his recorded sex crime acts since before the guy was arrested. They hid that by arresting me for harassment, with wire crimes sequence shifts, with crimes and cases before that, because they were already recorded with the online intercampus recorded sex crime acts, recorded mandated crime acts that they denied. Then slander is tied to that. Ray Hernandez also recorded a confession with his wife involved with Joe Lieberman. Other high-ranking Connecticut interbranch actors also recorded and confessed involved with all the criminal justice crime acts and roles that were then criminally exploited. Intercity, and like with Mike Pandolf recorded and confessed involved with the people with the crime acts every campus I went to. Even before he didn't even go to my grammar school. I don't know if he went to my middle school. I never saw him in middle school. I barely saw him in high school. I only saw him from recorded, tied, criminally connected connections. He has so Mike Pandolf's one person associated with CCSU criminally. Who else? No, so Sammy Vega, and then I don't know the names of the people, but they're recorded, and the people are gonna make mistakes. And I never went to this boxing gym because it was a new boxing gym. It's right down the street from Hartford Hospital, which is on that campus, the Institute of Living. A number of doctors recorded and confessed. When I first started trying to report the child sex offender acts, because of the way they have it with nonverbal, verbal demonstrations of the girls and little kids and young adults who got involved with it by being raised through it, with and as the cliques, with the child sex offender cliques already proven before the other one, they hid by arresting me, putting me without a loud voice, attached a fake story in the news, I believe still up, to hide their roles. Also, WFSB also recorded and confessed an Iowa family and a Finanza family, recorded and confessed involved with police forms with them, with advertisements on the same day as they did a story on that on the reported sentencing of the sex offender principal, recorded with their other sex offender acts that they hit with the same students in school, and online uses of Facebook by the police and by the courts and by Wethersfield police that are also recorded proofs that we need federal stewardship of Wethersfield police, recorded confessed people that non-verbally and verbally demonstrated the state of Connecticut Judicial Branch Office also recorded and confessed involved with database illusion stacking each year when I was in high school, tied to crime methods where they direct illusions to people, like lying to a person. They're lying to a group easier by directing like plays, little short illusions tied to progression nature. They have this mapped out because then they have those acts and motivations recorded, and then they were exploited for their roles with sex crime acts. There's a Marisol also who was in my class, recorded and confessed tied to database crime roles, evidence crime roles with interbranch families, ducking behind the shared policing of criminal justice, of all kinds of. You know how many people work with prisons and with the state judicial branch offices and the state prison building? The house is next to it, criminally involved. They've been with evidence as rackets, as evidence as knaves since before our founders' births. Internation, criminally foreign influence database, relationship victim predators. You understand? So we have mandated law not followed because of also recorded and juxtaposed and confessed other agencies and their family members as degenerates, as recorded. They know they have to hide that by slandering. That's how they. This is a crime method that is using evidence reception to keep each age of fact treatment nature, each individual, group, person, sequentially, together, grouped, progressively, criminally forward influenced, or heard, or indifferent, per method using evidence receptions used to keep originally propagated and stayed self-cultivated through this roles and needs to justify themselves as directed to lie to other kids, to maintain positions in relationship to the schools with these rackets. Also recorded and confessed and demonstrably involved with fact treatment rackets, with the reception of how to react to the gun crimes for what they were affected for. To at least to a great extent, recorded per the methods motivating that motivated the acts with the child predators and to hide them. Men and women doing this. Men and women pretending they have hate against other people they don't even know, with other people's information. Recorded to hide interbranch database illusion stacking, uses of the media offensively to force fake sides, telling the media to pretend that when people say that those people are against the media. You know, and they say, "Oh, why would you say if they're not against the media?" It's to correct the media. So they're threatening people not to connect the media that way. Torture. That's a torture method. Note that, because it's relationship to all kind of naive fact treatment impositions. To say the least, will breach. Let just one teach. So CCSU police and people associated with their family members and on off-campus long-standing drug cliques and stuff like that, and rackets where they just have like roles with child abuse and stuff like that, because that's just the way it is. The way everyone gave up on fronts that every nation lost to, per the criminally re-engineered campuses, inter-nation force shared. Now they're using the. Also, I have Moemeka, also recorded and confessed involved with natures of crime with investigators he doesn't even understand himself. Tied to this is an African guy. I forget which country he's from in Africa. Moemeka. So you know he had a lot of hard life, but they want to compensate that for a value nature system that making sense of that as value keeps them with physical delusions. The campuses, not just Moemeka, every single the doctor there recorded. That's how they're not. This is, for example, this is the problem where they can't follow mandated law, where they stack other in databases with opinions that they pretend are honest but aren't, because they're not letting acts reported. They're offensively interbranch preventing acts from being reported by directing stacked illusions and lies, because police forms were never healed. You know, they were originally and stayed maintained criminally foreign influenced, incapable of addressing the organized crime that left its recorded influences with summary convictions of American history, of our founders, what they mean, of their sequence, nature, truth, of their fact treatment, nature, slavery, recorded. But you can't explain it while you're defending what they're told to glorify of their speech and of their positions. Without that, in other words, they didn't have free speech. They're still forced to the theater of speech, forced by everyone. That's slavery. Our founders were slavery. And if you can't understand that, then you can't free anybody. And they're going to keep exploiting it. And they're going to keep needing and effectively using recorded, fake, pretended prejudice. Because they have crime acts with actors with the courts before they were even there, pretending that. Tied to Ray Hernandez too. They're sick people with those things because they were made victim predators. They never had a chance. And that's specifically why they're high paid. So they could, for a fact treatment racket, so they can say, "Oh, well, look, you know, he's jealous," or whatever like that. Swear to God, Watch, they can't do that on paper though, because then you could just demonstrate the recorded sequence shifts. All the different recorded ways that they're already invested. They already lied too much, because we have witness fabrication rackets against everybody. We have database solution stacking against everybody. And when it happens with their campus there, it's progressively. The way it's made to happen too, because it's what's it's what's keeping in what it was used for, to keep investigations manifest, so they keep the method, maintaining motivations to roles and natures as this manifest, as tools. Allah. The vision rules. These others cheap. See, mission creep. Mission creep. No one could explain how we went from World War I to World War II, because no one could explain how we went to World War I. No one could explain how we went to World War I, because no one could explain how George Washington had to leave that with his fact-cheating nature slavery and overt slavery still entrenched in the North. In Hartford and Wethersfield, right before the last battle of the Revolutionary War, had to come counter-extort them, could only semi-counter-extort them with the French general and George Washington, per James Madison's plan. God damn. Now, WFSB, please take a police report. I'm needing to ask you first in sequence, because of the nature of the relationship of the interbranch corruption, distinctly and non-distinctly, in relationship to Fox CT, in relationship to the Britain Hero, in relationship to other media, for example, associated with Wethersfield Park, recorded and confessed involved with the criminal persuasions of the police and of the police private and formal, and of the lawyers, exactly, especially with how they have it, like retired FBI lawyers with the media, implied criminally involved, and recorded criminally involved with the crime acts of the media and of their mouths, off the records, and with those crimes, using their witnesses as weapons. They implied that the media implied that WFSB implied that I have to a Sardelli family is involved. Bob Chase also confessed and recorded that Phil Cololo is criminally involved with and as the rest of the child sex predators and evidence crime predators, people that pretended to know me through time. Phil Cololo recorded and confessed by my school involved with database crimes, drug crime roles, with people, database illusion stacking, people that started fights with me. First time I ever saw a person, I don't even know his name, a Bayrak, they said, a black kid. Also recorded and confessed involved with interbranch corruption, police, with the child players and doctors and drug shit, with the cemetery where they buried J.P. Morgan, who had to loan us money for the world wars, right at the end of the Berlin Turnpike, before the heart of Hartford. Right across the street from that is a golf course, recorded and confessed involved with investigators, with a Joey Quest, and with them involved with the judges and their family members, and the doctors and drug clinics and stuff like that, and reactions and as victim predator, breaching nature, sick people, caused to and as what they're putting in prison, but not just because they're telling lies to be undercover, because they're with crime method, maintaining interbranch collusion with what was his internation criminal persuasions to keep each nation blaming their breaching motivations and natures, only let realized be the help of leaders through states and areas maintained in collusion with and as this internation fluent through us, fake sides. What's his name? Sammy Vega recorded and confessed involved with courts and other actors from courts criminally involved with children, effectively using pretended prejudice recorded. He's dishonestly pretending he believes people are prejudiced, tied to their roles with crime methods, with black and white doctors, also with the KKK themed, Confederate flag themed federal crime roles with evidences, with forging names, switching names, with child sex offenders, and with more recorded confess with the schools. So in other words, they're making things up in the background to discredit what I say, because they can't say anything on paper because they already faked paper since I was a kid, tied to the same people, tied to the boxing gyms. And so this guy became a delay that I just been waiting to take care of, because it also is recorded, confessed, tied to the child sex predators proven in my area, tied to the principal just putting in jail the other day, sentence. But with more that were forced with sustaining sex crime acts on girls through time. And it was recorded, made them, the ones involved with it as women and men, and recorded, made sick natures through, and it's nothing personal. I'm talking about acts. I'm trying to report acts. I'm not trying to report the debatable. It's not debatable. Anything what I've said online. But unless they have tricks with crime methods also recorded. So let's deal with the crime acts and the rest of the child sex predators. Let's go. There's a Facebook a page of ERIC, KNERR, recorded and confessed, tied to rape threats that were before they arrested me with crime acts, with wire crimes, sequence shifts, and they hid the confessions of one of the child sex predators, principal, regarding more investigators is tied to that. A Mike Levine also recorded and confessed involved with that by people, and also demonstrated by involved with it, tied to people, investigators with the Town Line Drive and through time. I have nothing to do with these people. Also tied to untimely deaths on and off campus, tied to their roles with on and off campus dean's crimes, with crimes with a pattern of confessions and of demonstrations of a request for help from victims of each age, even girls, women, young women, families they divide and hurt. I don't judge people because they're stripper. One of the nicest ones that lived in that place, her husband and stuff like that hurt them. They hurt because in other words, because they have those they have all like strippers and things like that with a crib. I don't know if they're all undercover, but they're under. But what they do is pretend undercover lies are means to just let witness fabrication rackets, covering lie progressions with that as highly sick predators, like someone with a knife stabbing people all the time. You know what I'm saying? Worse, with crimes with body dumping spots tied to it, real or made up, because there's more than one body dumping spot, and there's fake news tied to that is used to do the same crimes they're pretending that they have the pseudo-semantic means to pretend rhetoric. Whatever. We have to have pseudo-rhetoric discerned distinctly. We have to have pseudo-semantics and semantics discerned distinctly. Why? Semantics is the function of words. See, we have cheap fact, cheap nature tricks, manifest, fake haters, because we have witness fabrication rackets that are using them like that, needing them to pretend emotions, need to pretend passions to justify their crime acts, where their roles, where the interbranch recorded judges switching names and forging names and stuff like that is tied to their crime acts with many people in the court through time, employed there, brought there from Wethersfield interbranch corruption. This is tied to what happens when you're a judge with crime acts and with cases and someone's trying to tell them that, and you know they're trying to tell simultaneously through time about your crime rolls recorded with the state of the Connecticut judicial branch offices. People tied with the houses next to it, and through time, and through selling that land history, and next to the judicial branch, and next to the state prison branch offices, to the Dave. I don't have anything to do with that. That's one of the person they have people walk by you, or and there's illusions, or they'll show up with they force their presence around people, trick their presence around people in the past, so they can cultivate what they've been maintaining, criminally foreign influenced stewards. Our branches are sick, and the branches of other nations are sick, and they're trying to fight. We say if you try to fight it here, if you try to bring it out here, if there are agreements where they're all agreed to be that here, to let it go, and everyone here has let it go, because the only reason we're better off from there is because we felt it this last. The Native Americans damaged control, but this whole thing was totally denatured. They had it where it was like a machine of evolution, the garden, America, before it was tactically, criminally denatured. The soil is tactically to be even mentally, so no one understand it, because this criminally re-engineered every science to maintain live progressions as the crop. Break every cop, the breach. We have no defense as yet. Let someone teach. So, they don't even know how to teach the law, like respond to the answers of the police when they need to know about how to explain how they are valued. They don't understand because they are not. But by the nature of it as a system that is tactically ulterior from the one they're conformed to, because the Constitution's abridged. If you can't be the system that is purely native, as the identity's value of progression, as its own system, onto itself, like we as cells onto its identity, then yeah. So we need to be able to. So they make it work. What do I have to do? Then go bring up how it's attached to all the legal cases and natures and insidious ties that Jeffrey Dressler has recorded, manifest with him as that value and role, with as offensive roles in confessed relationships to actors and acts that used criminally to prevent me from and other people mandated law to stop child sex abusers and other natures of crimes with kids with them. And with courts, one-way reports. Then they're switching names, hiding names with the people that walk up to you, tied to confessions, because they have all kinds. It's not about Puerto. They don't care about Puerto Rico. They care about money from the criminal justice sick. They care about putting Puerto Ricans in jail. They care about. They were waiting for the storm. Not. They're waiting the storm. Keep you guys just locked in to the same thing that zoning law is sick. You have an island, right? You have a whole ocean, it means, but no one ever gathers that. Why? Because you're forced to zoning laws, forced shared policing. Each age of fact treatment nature. Victim predators, inter-science. On-off campus rackets. Sick. You know how much money they owe you, Puerto Rico? Wake up. Get them. I don't like child predators. I want the names of the cops with the KKK crimes, and the Facebook page, Confederate flag themed people tied to the Sammy Vega and the other boxes, the new boxing gym evolved. also recorded and confessed involved with the rest of the sex predators. And tied to the doctors down the street from there with the campus rolls, crime rolls, intercity. It's no good. And what's the name of Ray Hernandez's wife? And there's a Luigi. I don't know if that's his father. Or Guerrero. I don't know if that's his father in politics. But that's recorded and confessed. Him and his sister and whoever's parent of those people recorded and confessed involved with crimes with campuses related, with crime acts in the past through their kids related. A Luigi. I was tied to a man who looks like if David Brooks had I think it's his name. Bad people with kids. Also tied. See, they stack names. That's the crime method they do. By having the people with investigations, evidence reception natures involved with and as crime natures. They're with and as natures directed per their own criminal persuasions and per group per criminal persuasion to direct people to get away with little criminal insidious, criminally foreign influence, as criminal insidious as nature, not even understanding themselves, but through personal needs and group needs to hide line progressions and crime acts like that, directing people to demonstrate like the involvements of Ray Hernandez and Sammy Vega with courts criminally through time and with cases, and like with Julian Solis used to be bantamweight world champion. He speak no English. Had him for I had like 2 fights. When I just started, I was like out of shape, just starting to try to get in shape, learn how to box. And Julian Solis was my trainer a little bit. And then something happened with Sammy's mother and stuff like that. They got involved with police and people that are also recorded and confessed involved with criminal justice, people from my town involved with the related federal crime acts and roles in natures and crimes and cases through time, but uncharged, but recorded and proven the ones tied to it, like one in the Ninth Circuit, tied to federal criminals and to military police and to former director of the FBI who was their co-defendant, and of their kids tied to the like Eric Jensen, recorded and confessed involved with men and women involved with child crimes through time, also involved with criminal justice. Denny Terra, also people tied to Normandy Heights,